Hold on a second. Did you just get a speeding ticket and think it's only going to cost you a fine and some demerit points? Think again, because what I'm about to reveal could shock you. New driving rules across Australia are now impacting not just your license and your wallet, but potentially your pension, your Centrelink payments, and your entire financial future. Hold on a second. Did you just get a speeding ticket and think it's only going to cost you a fine and some demerit points? Think again, because what I'm about to reveal could shock you. New driving rules across Australia are now impacting not just your license and your wallet, but potentially your pension, your Centrelink payments, and your entire financial future. If you drive a car in Australia, or if you receive any form of government support, you absolutely must watch this video from start to finish. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why something as simple as a parking fine could cascade into something much, much bigger. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because we break down the most important government policy changes, Centrelink updates, and financial impacts that directly affect everyday Australians. And today's topic, it's absolutely critical for millions of people across the country. So, let's dive straight in. Australia has rolled out significant changes to driving rules in 2024 and 2025. And these aren't just your typical "we've increased the fine for speeding" type of changes. These are comprehensive reforms that interlink your driving behaviour with your government payments, your pension eligibility, and create ripple effects that most people have absolutely no idea about. By the time we are done today, you're going to understand exactly what these new rules are, how the fines and demerit point system works, and most critically, how this could impact your age pension, disability support pension, or any other Centrelink payment you might be receiving. Let's start with the basics. What exactly are these new Australian driving rules? Well, they vary slightly by state because driving laws are primarily state-based in Australia. But there's been a coordinated push across all jurisdictions to tighten enforcement, increase penalties, and most significantly share data between state traffic authorities and federal agencies like Services Australia. In New South Wales, we've seen massive increases in fines for mobile phone use while driving. We are now talking about fines exceeding $400 for a first offence and $550 for subsequent offences. The demerit points have also increased to 5 points for using your phone while driving. That's almost half of your total demerit point allocation in many cases. 5 points for checking a text message or changing a song on your phone. Let that sink in. Victoria has introduced similar harsh penalties and has expanded their camera detection systems dramatically. They now have over 50 mobile phone detection cameras operating across the state. And these cameras use artificial intelligence to detect drivers using phones. You can't hide from these systems. They are incredibly sophisticated and can detect phone use even in difficult lighting conditions or through windscreen glare. Queensland has taken things further by implementing stricter penalties for speeding in school zones and introducing new rules around distracted driving that go beyond just mobile phones. We are talking about eating while driving, applying makeup. Any activity that takes your attention off the road can now result in penalties. South Australia, Western Australia, Tasmania, the Northern Territory, and the ACT have all implemented their own versions of tougher driving laws with particular focus on drink driving, drug driving, and excessive speeding. The national trend is clear. Authorities are cracking down harder than ever before. But here's where it gets interesting and where most people are completely in the dark. These driving offences and the data they generate are now being fed into a massive data matching system that connects with Centrelink and Services Australia. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is official government policy that's being confirmed in budget papers and departmental statements. The logic behind this connection is what the government calls income and asset verification and compliance checking. Essentially, Your driving behavior and driving offenses can now be used as evidence to verify whether the information you've provided to Centrelink is accurate. Let me give you some concrete examples of how this works in practice. Example 1. You're receiving the age pension and you've declared that you own one vehicle valued at $12,000. Your car is usually exempt from the assets test as it's considered your primary vehicle. However, you get pulled over for speeding in a different vehicle, a late-model luxury SUV worth $70,000. When the police check the registration, it shows you as the registered owner. This information flows through to Centrelink. They now know you own a second vehicle worth $70,000 that you haven't declared. That luxury SUV is not exempt from the assets test. Depending on your other assets, this could push you over the assets test threshold, resulting in a reduced pension or complete loss of pension eligibility. Plus, you'll have a debt for all the pension you received while failing to declare this asset. Example 2. You're on disability support pension because you've been assessed as having severe mobility issues and chronic pain that prevents you from working. You've told your doctor and your Centrelink assessor that you can barely walk. You struggle to sit for extended periods, and you certainly couldn't work a regular job. However, over a 6-month period, you accumulate multiple speeding fines showing you driving on the freeway at various times of day. Traffic camera footage shows you driving alone, making long trips. One speeding fine is issued at 2 a.m. on a freeway 300 kilometers from your home. When Centrelink reviews this data, they are going to have serious questions about your claimed limitations. If you're well enough to drive long distances at all hours, including overnight trips, are you really unable to work? This could trigger a complete review of your medical assessment and potentially result in your DSB being cancelled. Example 3. You're receiving single-parent payment because you're raising your kids alone after a separation. You've declared you're single and living alone. However, parking fines and traffic violations over several months consistently show you at the same residential address that's different from your declared address. And multiple times, traffic camera images show the same male passenger in your vehicle. When this data is cross-referenced, Centrelink discovers you're actually living with a new partner. You're in a de facto relationship, and his income should have been declared and assessed. Your single-parent payment gets cancelled. You're issued a debt that could be tens of thousands of dollars, and you could face fraud charges if they determine you deliberately concealed the relationship. These aren't hypothetical scenarios I'm making up to scare you. These are based on actual cases that have occurred under the new data matching systems. The technology and the systems integration exists right now, and it's being actively used to identify discrepancies and trigger compliance reviews. Now let's talk specifically about fines and demerit points, because understanding the system is crucial. In Australia, every licensed driver starts with a certain number of demerit points, and different offences carry different point penalties. When you commit an offence, points are deducted from your allocation. If you reach 0 points, you lose your licence. For full licence holders in most states, you have 12 or 13 demerit points depending on the jurisdiction. Provisional licence holders typically have 4 to 7 points, and learner drivers have even less. The point system resets sort of. Demerit points stay on your record for 3 years from the date of the offence, not from when you paid the fine or were convicted. Let's look at some common offences and their point values. Speeding less than 10 kilometers over the limit typically costs you 1 demerit point. Speeding between 10 and 20 kilometers over costs 3 points. Speeding more than 20 kilometers over can cost 4 to 6 points depending on how much you exceeded the limit. Speeding more than 45 kilometers over the limit can result in immediate license suspension regardless of your demerit point balance. Not wearing a seatbelt costs 3 demerit points. Using a mobile phone while driving costs 5 demerit points in most jurisdictions now. Running a red light costs 3 demerit points. Illegal U-turns cost 3 points. Disobeying a stop or giveaway sign costs 3 points. Drink driving penalties vary based on your blood alcohol content and license type, but can range from 3 points for low-range offences up to immediate license suspension and criminal charges for high-range. Drug driving, which is now heavily enforced across all states, results in immediate loss of license. The financial cost of these offences has also skyrocketed. A mobile phone offence can cost over $500. Speeding fines range from around $130 for minor offences to over $3,000 for extreme speeding. Drink driving can result in fines in the thousands plus legal costs, mandatory license suspension, and potential jail time for serious offences. But here's the thing most people miss. The immediate financial hit of the fine and the demerit points are just the beginning. Let's talk about the cascade of consequences that can follow a driving offence, particularly if you're receiving government payments. First, there's the insurance impact. Multiple driving offences or loss of license can dramatically increase your insurance premiums or result in insurance companies refusing to cover you. If you're on a tight budget, as most pension and Centrelink recipients are, this can be financially devastating. Second, there's the mobility impact. If you lose your license due to demerit points, you lose your ability to drive. For many Australians, especially those in regional or rural areas, this is catastrophic. It affects your ability to get to medical appointments, do grocery shopping, maintain social connections, and can seriously impact mental health and quality of life. If you're receiving disability support pension and you lose your license, you've now created a genuine barrier to potential employment that didn't exist before, making it even harder to transition off payments. Third, there's the employment impact. Many jobs require a valid driver's license. If you're receiving unemployment benefits and you lose your license, you've just made yourself unemployable for a huge range of positions. This can extend the time you remain on benefits and reduce your job prospects significantly. Fourth, and this is the big one we've been building toward, there's the Centrelink compliance impact. As I've explained, driving offences generate data that flows into the Services Australia data matching systems. This data can trigger compliance reviews of your payments. Let's dig deeper into how the pension impacts work specifically. The age pension is subject to both an income test and an assets test. You receive whichever test results in the lower payment, or if you exceed the thresholds on either test, you don't qualify for pension at all. Under the assets test, your family home is exempt and your primary vehicle is usually exempt. However, any additional vehicles you own are accessible assets. The value of these vehicles is added to your other assets like bank accounts, shares, investment properties, and so on. If your total assets exceed the threshold, your pension is reduced or eliminated. As of March 2025, for a single homeowner, the full age pension cuts out at assets of approximately $676,000, excluding the family home. For a couple, it's around $1.01 million. The asset thresholds are higher for non-homeowners. If you fail to declare a vehicle you own and a traffic offence reveals its existence, that vehicle's value gets added to your assets. Depending on your circumstances, this could push you over the threshold. Even if it doesn't eliminate your pension entirely, it will likely reduce the amount you receive. But the bigger problem isn't just the asset value. It's that you've demonstrated you provided false or incomplete information to Centrelink. This creates a debt situation. Centrelink will calculate how much pension you received that you weren't entitled to receive because your assets were actually higher than declared. This debt can go back years and you'll be required to repay it. Centrelink debts are serious business. They don't just disappear. The government has extensive powers to recover debts, including garnishing your future pension payments, taking money directly from your bank accounts, and reporting the debt to credit agencies. In serious cases involving deliberate fraud, criminal prosecution is possible. For disability support pension recipients, the situation is even more complex. DSP eligibility depends on medical assessment of your work capacity. You must have been assessed as having a permanent condition that prevents you from working at least 15 hours per week at or above minimum wage. The assessment looks at your functional capacity, your limitations, and the impact of your condition on your ability to work. If traffic offense data suggests you have greater functional capacity than you've claimed, this can trigger a full medical review. You might be required to undergo new medical assessments, provide updated reports from treating doctors, and demonstrate that your claimed limitations are genuine and current. Here's the scary part. Medical conditions can improve over time, and you're required to report improvements to Centrelink. If your condition has improved, but you haven't reported it, and traffic data reveals capabilities you've been hiding, you're in serious trouble. Not only could your DSP be can-led going forward, but you'll be issued a debt for the period where you should have reported improvement, but didn't. Job seeker recipients face different, but equally serious issues. If you're on job seeker, you have mutual obligation requirements. You must be actively looking for work, attending appointments, and doing activities to improve your employability. You must also report any barriers to employment. If you've been claiming you have transport difficulties as a barrier to employment, but you're getting traffic fines that prove you have access to a vehicle, that's a problem. If you've been saying you can't afford to travel to job interviews, but you're driving around racking up speeding fines, Centrelink will question your compliance with mutual obligations. Similarly, if you're working and earning income, but failing to report it properly, traffic data showing you at work locations or driving commercial vehicles can be used as evidence of undeclared employment. Parenting payment recipients, as I mentioned earlier, are particularly vulnerable around relationship status issues. The rules around de facto relationships are complex, but essentially if you're living with someone in a relationship that resembles marriage, they are considered your partner for Centrelink purposes. Their income and assets must be declared, and this can reduce or eliminate your payment. The government uses multiple factors to determine if a de facto relationship exists. Living together is one factor. Financial interdependence is another. The nature of the household and personal relationship matters. Sexual relationship, though personal, is also considered. Shared parenting or care of children is a factor. Public aspects of the relationship and how you present as a couple socially matters. Traffic data showing you consistently with the same person consistently at the same address different from your declared address. And patterns suggesting cohabitation can all be used as evidence in determining relationship status. Combined with other data sources like social media, bank records, and utility accounts, the picture becomes very clear very quickly. Now, let's talk about what you should do if you're receiving government payments and you've had driving offenses, or if you're worried about potential compliance issues. Step 1. Review what you've declared to Centrelink and make absolutely certain it's accurate. Check your declared assets. Are all your vehicles listed? Are they valued correctly? Check your declared living arrangements. Is your address current? Check your relationship status. Have you declared any changes? Check your income. Is everything reported properly? Step 2. If you identify discrepancies, correct them immediately. Use your Centrelink online account or call them and update your details. Yes, correcting errors might result in reduced payments or even a debt, but finding and fixing errors yourself is always better than being caught. The penalties are less severe when you voluntarily disclose compared to being caught through data matching. Step 3. If you've had changes in your medical condition or work capacity, report them. I know it's scary if you think it might affect your payments, but failing to report is worse. The system will catch discrepancies eventually, and the consequences for deliberate concealment are severe. Step 4. Keep good records. If you're on DSP and you can drive, but you have legitimate limitations, make sure this is well documented in your medical records. If your doctor knows you can drive short distances, but can't work full-time, make sure that's clearly stated in their reports. Documentation is your protection. Step 5. If you receive a compliance review letter, do not ignore it. Respond within the time frame given. Provide the requested documentation. Be honest in your explanations. If you need help, contact a welfare rights organization immediately. They can provide free advice and representation. Step 6. Understand your rights. You have the right to request internal review of Centrelink decisions. You can appeal to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. If you disagree with a decision, you have the right to access the information Centrelink holds about you. Use these rights if necessary, but get expert help to navigate the process. Step 7. Be strategic about driving behavior. Obviously, obey all traffic laws, but beyond that, understand that your driving generates data. If you're in a situation where your circumstances might be questioned, be aware that driving behavior can be used as evidence. That doesn't mean stop driving, but it means be mindful. Let me address some common questions and concerns I know people have about this. Question 1. Is this legal? Can the government really share traffic data with Centrelink? Yes, it's completely legal. Privacy laws allow information sharing between government agencies for purposes including fraud prevention, compliance checking, and service delivery. When you apply for Centrelink payments, you consent to information verification and data matching. It's in the terms and conditions you agree to. Question 2. Can I opt out of this data sharing? No. If you want to receive Centrelink payments, you must comply with their verification processes. You can't opt out of data matching. Question 3. Will every traffic fine trigger a Centrelink review? No. The system uses algorithms to identify significant discrepancies and patterns. A single minor traffic offence in isolation probably won't trigger anything. But multiple offences, serious offences, or offences that clearly indicate an undeclared asset or inconsistent circumstances will be flagged. Question 4. What if I get a fine for someone else driving my car? If someone else was driving your car when it was caught by a camera, you can usually nominate the actual driver. This transfers the fine and demerit points to them. Do this promptly. However, understand that if multiple people are driving your vehicle, you still need to have declared the vehicle as your asset if you own it. Question 5. What if I genuinely made an honest mistake in my Centrelink declaration? Genuine mistakes happen, and Centrelink does distinguish between honest errors and deliberate fraud. If you made an honest mistake, correct it as soon as you realize, explain what happened and cooperate fully with any review. The consequences are less severe than if you are found to have deliberately deceived them. Question 6. Can I get legal help if I'm facing a compliance review or debt? Yes, every state has welfare rights organizations that provide free legal assistance to people receiving government payments. Community legal centers also help. Financial counselors can assist with debt issues. Use these services. They exist to help you. Let's talk about some prevention strategies. If you're receiving any form of government payment, here's how to protect yourself. 1. Keep meticulous records of everything. Keep copies of everything you submit to Centrelink. Keep records of phone calls, including dates, times, and what was discussed. Keep medical reports, employment records, bank statements, vehicle registration papers, everything. If there's ever a dispute, documentation is your best defense. 2. Report changes within 14 days. This is the legal requirement. Whenever anything changes in your circumstances that might affect your payment, report it within 14 days. Income changes, address changes, relationship changes, asset changes, medical changes, employment changes, report everything promptly. 3. Understand your payment rules thoroughly. Different payments have different rules. Read the Services Australia website information about your specific payment type. Understand what you must declare, what affects your payment rate, and what your obligations are. Ignorance is not a defense. 4. Be conservative in your driving behavior. Beyond just obeying traffic laws, understand that risky behavior increases your chances of offenses which generate data. Drive carefully. Always follow road rules. Don't use your phone while driving. Stick to speed limits. Don't drink and drive. Protection. Your license protects your circumstances. 5. Get professional advice when uncertain. If you're not sure whether something needs to be reported, or you're not sure how to value an asset, or you're not sure about relationship status rules, get advice. Welfare rights organizations, financial counselors, and Centrelink Financial Information Service can all provide guidance. Making informed decisions based on proper advice is always better than guessing. The broader picture here is that we are living in an age of unprecedented government surveillance and data integration. Whether you think this is justified to prevent fraud or whether you think it's an invasion of privacy, the reality is it's happening and expanding. The technology exists to cross-reference massive amounts of data from multiple sources automatically, and governments are using it. For people receiving government payments, this means you're living under a level of scrutiny that's quite intense. Every aspect of your life that touches government systems and many aspects that don't can be monitored and used to verify your entitlements. The social contract has always been that if you receive public money, you're accountable for ensuring you're entitled to it. But the tools available to enforce that accountability have become incredibly sophisticated. What might have gone unnoticed 10 years ago will be caught instantly today. This isn't meant to frighten people away from claiming payments they are entitled to. If you genuinely meet the criteria for age, pension, DSP, job seeker, parenting payment, or any other support, you should absolutely claim it. These payments exist to support people who need them. But you must be scrupulously honest and accurate in your dealings with Centrelink. The days of she'll be right and hoping things don't get noticed are over. The system will find discrepancies. The system will identify fraud. The consequences are severe. But if you're honest, if you're accurate, if you report changes promptly, you'll be fine. Before we wrap up, I want to emphasize the human element in all of this. Behind every compliance review, every debt, every cancelled payment, there's a real person whose life is being impacted. Many people facing these situations are vulnerable. They are struggling. They are dealing with complex circumstances. The system can feel overwhelming and terrifying. If you're in this situation, please know that help is available. You're not alone. Organizations exist specifically to help people navigate these systems and advocate for fair treatment. Reach out, get support, fight for your rights when appropriate, but also take responsibility for meeting your obligations. The new driving rules in Australia are significant. The fines are higher, the demerit points are harsher, and the consequences extend far beyond just driving. If you receive government payments, understanding these connections is crucial to protecting yourself and ensuring you don't face unexpected and devastating financial consequences. Drive safely, report honestly, keep good records, and seek help when you need it. That's the formula for navigating this complex landscape successfully. If this video helped you understand these important issues, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with friends and family who might be affected. Subscribe to the channel for ongoing coverage of Centrelink pensions and government policy changes that affect your daily life. Leave a comment below. Have you been impacted by these new rules? Do you have questions about specific situations? I read every comment and try to provide helpful information where I can. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe on the roads. Stay compliant with your obligations and take care of yourselves and each other. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.